Now I'm starting a little bit early, so just want to get my bearings. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just waiting for people to like start filing in and what have you, so I'm not ignoring anyone, so please forgive me on that. Everything's back to normal. So I think we'll get ready to do this. Excuse me. Just a little itchy. So hey guys, Kitty Sapphire here, and welcome to Nerd News. How's everybody doing today on this Hump Day? If you guys don't know what Hump Day is, it's Wednesday. I've been out of the loop as of lately. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing this and me being in a hiatus, but in this particular case with Thanksgiving and that whole entire week being hectic, and then on top of that, you guys will probably hear it a little bit more. I got sick. Still, like, I'm okay now, but it's just like still remnants of it here and there. So stuff like that. So but yeah, I'm still sort of like semi recovering. Hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry. All right. Sorry guys about that. So yeah, I'm just kind of recovering with all the craziness that's happened. I had a terrible nasal infection that I got from my mom and my sister. But I'm okay now, and I'm going to continue bringing you guys some really good content. I just actually did a speed coloring beforehand, but we're going to focus today on nerd reviews. And for once, it's not about Pokemon, so you guys are probably really happy about that. It's nice to change the category from here and there. So today, we're going to talk about the recent trailers that just actually dropped. I believe it's Wonder Woman, 1984, Ghostbusters 3, as well as the new Black Widow movie. Hey, Jay, how are you? And also a little bit of a video game trailer of the new remake of Resident Evil 3, which came out of flipping nowhere, and, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting the other trailers neither, but, we're going to talk about those. And maybe if we have enough time, I have a little bit of a unboxing here. Let's see if I can get it, because it's a big box. Ugh. I have a little bit of an unboxing here that I want to do that I got from my Secret Santa, which I thought was really cute and really sweet. My fellow not safe for work. Yes, I do draw not safe for work stuff. So, on occasion, I like artistic nudity and stuff like that. So, but let's get started. For the first trailer that we're going to talk about is the recent new Ghostbusters trailer. Now, I know a lot of people have a little bit of mixed feelings about it. I know my siblings and I are huge fans of Ghostbusters. We liked 1 and 2. I love 1 and 2. 1, of course, is the first one. You can't necessarily go wrong with the first one. The chemistry, the characters, from Bill Murray all the way to Ernie Hudson, all of them were really great. Their chemistry was great. They did a lot of stuff that was ad-lib that made it so natural. And it's just, of course, I have to put a little dollop of nostalgia on it because, well, I grew up around that time. Not in 1984, but I was born in the late 80s. And, that was one of the few movies that my parents showed me when I was younger. So Ghostbusters has a huge place in my heart. And when I saw the actual trailer, the first thing was I was really excited for this trailer than any other trailer, which was kind of weird because, especially with the recent flop of, I believe, the all-female cast of Ghostbusters. Now, please, 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 I'm not trying to cause any controversy or anything like that. It's just from the trailer itself, I really had no interest to go see it, because it seems like a lot of cases it wasn't as fun. The jokes didn't really land. A lot of stuff was forced. Even though I do like some of the, I love the idea of, having female Ghostbusters, and also the fact that these are, several comedians that are well known in the business. It didn't seem as fun, and it didn't gel as well together as the original ones. And also they had no references from what I could see from the trailer. Of course, I didn't see them full on movie. Nothing too much harking back to the old stuff, which made it a little bit less disheartening for me. But, I'm really excited for this trailer. It does pick up where the second Ghostbusters did leave off. I know some people did not care for the second Ghostbusters. Me personally, I loved it. I felt it was a nice, proper continuation. I don't necessarily know why a lot of people don't like the second one. I haven't run into too many people who gave their a little bit of their own take on it, but yeah. When I saw the trailer, first of all, one of my first thoughts of it is that I'm glad that they're harking back to the second movie, and it's in the same universe. And of course, nothing against the original ones. Like I said before, it had no connection to the original one, which made me a little sad, and it made it a little lackluster for me. Another thing is Finn Wolfhard, the young man who is playing in the new Ghostbusters movie. He's getting a lot of work from it to Stranger Things to now Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I was just shocked of how much he's grown. He's gotten a lot taller. I know this might sound really weird for me, but sometimes it's like when you get accustomed to certain people that have been in the acting biz for a long time and you sort of like grew up with them, it's like you saw them when they were younger, and then just to see them shoot up and grow, it's like, wow, Dad, we kind of grew up with each other. So to see you like grown up like this, it's like, wow, you gotten tall. But also it had me wondering, and I know this is a little off topic, with him growing so much like this, how are they going to swing it in the new Stranger Things 4, I believe. They already showed a trailer for Stranger Things 4. I'm not going to go into that today. That's going to be a story for another time. But yes, a lot of the members are growing up really fast. So how are they going to swing this in the 4th season of Stranger Things? That would be, a very interesting thing. Next thing in the trailer I thought was very interesting is the actor from Ant-Man. I can't remember his name, so please forgive me. The guy from Ant-Man plays a teacher in this particular adaptation or particular installment of the Ghostbusters movie that I believe he is a person who was around for the events in 1984 where they had the incident at that huge apartment building with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and they had to fight against Gozer. Gozer, the Sumerian god or goddess, and had to turn their friends back into humans from being like these demon dogs and stuff like that. So he has on file all the events that happened. So he's like a huge Uber fan that knows a lot about what has going on, and it's really nice to see him doing something outside of doing the superhero movies. It's always nice to see the actors doing something outside of their wheelhouse. In this particular, based on the trailer solely, is I have a strong hunch that those two kids are related to Egon, because we all know if all the Ghostbusters were going to come back, Egon wasn't going to be there because unfortunately Harold Ramis unfortunately passed away before they got that opportunity, that chance, and what have you. So I I think it would have been the best way. Social media updates. Social media updates, I have them. I do have updates for them. I actually just put up the speed color on my Facebook page and my all the other different groups. I believe I have it up on Twitter. I'll double check on that, but usually I have all the updates on Twitter, my live streams on Twitter, any announcements, even cons that I go to will be up on Twitter and such. So don't worry. Instagram is also another place that I do like live streams. Not as much. Usually I reserve that for more of artwork and personal messages. If you guys have any questions or something like that, usually I leave that to Instagram. But of course, if you guys want me to do more stuff on Instagram, I have no problem to do that, trying to connect all of the platforms together. But going back to what I was saying, going back to the Ghostbusters trailer of Egon, it would only make sense if they're going to bring back all the Ghostbusters. It would only make sense if they had the kids as his grandkids. It would be a nice tie-in for all that. So, it just makes sense. And even more so, they really hit it home where you have the female little girl who looks exactly like Egon with the glasses and the curly hair. It's just too much on the nose. And then she goes through her his sort of like lab where he keeps all his stuff, all these beakers and agar plates and all these other samples of all his findings when he was battling the paranormal. And then on top of that, when she was looking through his the Ghostbuster uniform, Egon Spangler, the connections are just too well fit together. So it would only make sense. All the evidence from the trailer thus far has pointed to Egon. So it looks that way. So I'm thinking, I'm really thinking that's going to be Egon's family, and such. Also, I did like they had the little quote that Venkman had or Bill Murray had in the movie. Call it faith, call it luck, call it karma. I like that line because that was basically the go-to line that they had. Excuse me, the go-to line when they first started out and decided to make this agency of the Ghostbusters and Paranormal. So you see basically Wolfheart and his sister in the movie basically heading off to a mine, which actually somebody did point out that it was called Shandor's Mine. And actually that's kind of funny because it's harking back again to the older films where Yvon Shandor was basically the architect for that weird apartment that actually pulled down Gozer into New York City. So I thought that was really cool. Of course, it's nice to see the Ecto-1 again. I'm just really overall excited about this. And also, I like the fact that they have like a driver's seat where they had a gunner seat. So basically, if you don't want to necessarily, you're chasing down a ghost and you don't necessarily want to get out of your car, it has like sort of like this chair that actually comes out and you can shoot the proton pack out. So I thought that was really cool. And adding something new to an old model car, which is really cool. I would recommend anybody go see it. If anybody's a Ghostbuster fan, I know a lot of people are split behind it because of the fact it's like, they're trying to capture lightning in a bottle again, and it's really hard to do that in any case. So excuse me. So yeah, I would just say give it at least a try. The trailer doesn't really say much, which I love because I don't like when trailers give too much information. It doesn't make you feel like going in a movie. It's like, I seen the movie already. I don't need to go see it. So yeah, I'm so sorry. It's just, I guess my body is still, full on recovering. But moving on to the next trailer is Wonder Woman 1984. Of course, I love the first Wonder Woman movie. It was great. It was fun. I loved every bit of it, except for the last part. The last part really irked me. I really didn't like it. I didn't like how, I did like Steve the pilot, but it just seemed like it was forced and they didn't give enough time for them to gel out, since everything was kind of, getting to know them and what have you. Excuse me. I am so sorry. So going back to what I was saying about Wonder Woman. So, I just didn't like the ending. I didn't like how Steve basically was, towards the end of the film. But I really enjoyed it. Hey, Joy Sorrows, how are you? Nice to see you here, and welcome to the stream. So, I also, the fact that in the very beginning, no, it's fine. It's like the worst of it is over, because to tell you the truth, when I'm sick, I am bedridden, which is a very uncommon thing, because usually I get up at a certain time. I have my own particular biological clock and sort of like a timer, a biological clock, and when it's completely derailed, for a fact that I got sick. So yeah, no, I did get sick. I got sick. It was bad. But going back to what I was saying, I love the movie. I didn't really care for the ending. For those who haven't seen it, I won't say anything about it. I will let you know if there's any spoilers throughout it. As for the actress who played Wonder Woman, at first I was not necessarily keen on it. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joy. But yeah, I wasn't necessarily keen on Gal Gadot. I believe that I'm pronouncing her name right. Gal Gadot to play Wonder Woman at first. Because of the fact that I only saw her in the Fast and the Furious, and I was like, Wonder Woman is not that. She's not she's beautiful, but she's not like, a model chick. And of course, when the first movie came out and Gal Gadot did her thing, I had to eat my words, but she did an excellent job. I was very hesitant at first, and I was really proud of how she took on the role. And, she does show her stripes throughout this whole entire trailer. I love it. The first scene, it seems like now going towards the trailer, the first scene, she's talking to this young lady. It seems like she's moved on, or she's moving on. It's really hard that, all her friends, back in the, I believe the 1920s, 30s, around that time. No, that has to be later than that. In the early 90s, 1900s, all her friends basically died during World War One. Well, not during, but like, they gotten up in age, and she didn't age since then, and she's been living by herself. And the person that she fell in love with, you know, unfortunately, is now no longer there anymore. So it looks like she's, excuse me, it looks like she's already moved on. She's talking to this young lady. I'm not sure if they're, you know, just colleagues. I'm not sure if they're on a date. I already know who the woman is, and I don't necessarily want to say anything, but there's been, you know, rumors here and there, but I already know who the young lady is. But yes, it seems like, I don't know if it's kind of like Cap. Yeah, she's actually like Captain America. The only difference is she's you know, she's an Amazon, so you know there's a huge difference there. Uh, so yeah, so you know, we'll see what comes out of that little engagement there. Of course, whenever Diana wears dresses, it seems like she kills it. I loved her in the nice blue dress beforehand with the sword. Yeah. It was hard. It was hard for Cap, but uh, it seems like she always kills it in dresses when Diana wears dresses. So in the first one, she wore this beautiful blue one. In this one, she wears a nice flowy white one. I love it. It's very complimentary, especially on her legs. I love it. All the 80s references. All the 80s references. Now listen, I love the music and era of the 80s. It seemed like a lot of fun. Even though I was born in the late 80s, I didn't necessarily get a chance to really enjoy it. So basically I heard rumors of the 80s. I came technically right after the 80s. I would have to say I really started to notice things like in the early 90s. But the 80s, where it was brightly colored, you had jazzercise and you had these really funky hairstyles, and malls were a big thing. It's just making a comparison. No, I completely understand. You know, I get that. But yeah, so seeing like these mega malls and these weird hairstyle, you know, the usual 80s hairstyle and the bright colors, and it's just the 80s. You know, if you know, I automatically think of you know, the Goonies, Back to the Future, Stranger Things, everything and anything that's referencing the 80s. Even what is it? The Last Dragon, which is you know, with Bruce Leroy. You know, all that comes flooding back to me. Ghostbusters, you know, all those keep flooding back to me. Excuse me. You know, when I saw that, especially even the music and the title card. The title card is like sort of like a Flash Gordon type of thing. I don't know if you guys remember that. I know I didn't grow up on that, but my parents kind of grew up, you know, watching that along with like, you know, Star Trek and you know, Star Trek and the, you know, Star Wars and stuff like that. So yeah, Roger Rabbit hit movie, yeah, 80s, definitely 80s. So, you know, 80s nostalgia and references everywhere. Um, Also, it's nice to see her using the lasso. For the first two movies, she used a lot of her shield. She used a lot of shield and a sword, a classic, you know, Amazonian type style of fighting. Which kind of harks back to the era of, you know, what she already knew as an Amazon was the basic, you know, sword and shield, like everything else. Here, they showed more of the lasso and using her tiara, which to a certain extent, completely completely different or polar opposite to what she was working with in the first one. But using the lasso and using the tiara remind me a lot of the 60s version of Wonder Woman, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's sort of like an overlapping of the 80s style with a little bit hint of the 60s upbeat way of doing things. You know, if you guys don't know, you guys should check out the old 60s. I know it looks so cheesy, but hey, without these, there wouldn't be, you know, the superhero movies that we know and love. So I'm, you know, you gotta hark back at that. So of course, even though I saw the tiara and I thought it was really cool, but I have to say that a lot of the tiara throwing remind me a lot of Sailor Moon. I know, but of course it's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman came first, and possibly Nico Taka. Oh goodness! I can't pronounce. I can't English. I can't English right now. So for me to do Japanese is like, yeah, I'm putting stress on myself that I shouldn't. But I know that Wonder Woman came first. But you know, I got a lot of memories and hits of Sailor Moon mixed in there. Steven. For those who didn't watch, I'm sorry. This is probably another spoiler, but Steven is back. So this automatically says, well, how in the heck did you get back? They have to explain this. I don't know if it's a clone. I don't know if he's real, or, you know, there's a time machine. Thank you very much for suggesting that. There's a time machine, and Steven came back from the past to see Diana off in the future. So, you know, it was like, it's always nice to see Chris Pine, but it's just like there's a lot of questions now to ask throughout the trailer of why Steven is back. What is it? Great. As I was watching the film, I was like, oh great, Prince Oberon is basically the villain. If you guys don't know, that's a reference to Game of Thrones. Prince Oberyn, played by Pedro Pascal. Of course, he's done a couple of movies since Game of Thrones, since he got sadly murdered. You know, sorry, spoiler alert. Prince Oberyn gets destroyed and gets killed in Game of Thrones. I know, surprising. There's a lot of people that get killed throughout that show. But Pedro Pascal, from the looks of the trailer, he plays the villain called Maxwell Lord. Now, I don't know too much about Mr. Lord. I know in Supergirl, in Supergirl they mentioned him. He was a villain played by I'm sorry, the father. For all the Twilight fans out there, it kind of cringes me, but the guy, the father of the vampire family, I believe his name was Carlisle. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, Joy. Yes, I'm not a big fan of Twilight, but I have to mention this because I brought up Supergirl, and you know, for those who don't remember Max Lord, in Supergirl, the father of the vampire of the gave me a spoiler. How? Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Maxwell Lord was basically shown up in Supergirl and was played by Carlisle, who was originally the vampire father in Twilight. So I know for a fact that he's a big villain, another business tycoon similar to Lex Luthor, but I don't know too much about Max Lord. I have to do some more research based upon him. But all I know is he's a villain and he's played by Pedro Pascal. It's nice to see that he's still getting work. But it's like, really? Why you gotta play a villain? You know, I miss his sarcasm as a hero. I don't know. It's just me. The trailer music. Is it by any chance that a trailer music can both be campy as well as epic at the same time? Like, it reminds me a lot of, like, I felt, of course, the 60s and 80s vibe. Brain Daddy Coon. What? I don't know what's going on, Jay. But I don't know if that's possible. Apparently it is for me, because I got like the weirdness of the 60s, the, you know, the synthesizers and various different instruments that you would only find in the 80s, and then also all the bright colors, which could hark back to the 60s with their psychedelic, you know, the psychedelic colors, and the neon colors, which is basically all of the 80s with like what is it, similar to like was it Miami Vice era. So, you know, it's just it was very interesting with the choice for the trailer music. So it is very interesting. Also, the golden outfit in the very end of the trailer. I know for a fact that she does have one in the comics. I think this was during the time where she starts becoming more of an ambassador to not only Themyscira, but also all of also the United States. It's just, I don't know. I don't like, I like how it looks in the comic. I don't think it translated very well into the movie, but we'll see how that goes. It's just, I don't know. It just looks more of like a bodysuit than anything else, not actual authentic armor. So um, so yeah, that's pretty much for most of the trailer. Again, I actually love how it looks thus far. No spoilers. It's another trailer that doesn't really give you that much information to work with, which is great. One thing is for sure, I'm not really big on trailers that just tell you everything. It just irks me. Um, okay, no problem. So yeah, and it looks very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Um, Last but not least for the movie trailers was Black Widow. Again, it's really nice to see Black Widow for, I believe this will be the last time we get to see her. It's kind of heartbreaking to know that, we get finally a movie, a Black Widow movie, and we know what happens to her later on in the series, especially during the Infinity Wars and Endgame. So it's just a sense of relief and happiness to see Black Widow again, but at the same time, it's just farewell, and I have a feeling I'm going to cry at the end of the film. I know that for a fact, because I am a sentimental and emotional creature, and I get attached to things very easily. So yeah. So sibling. Going into the first portion of the trailer, I love the cinematography. I love the magical Tom girl. Nice to see you here. I hope you enjoy. I hope you're welcome to the live stream. Hope you enjoy it. The cinematography and the area that they're in is very beautiful. I love it's sort of like almost a gothic type of style, seeing where Black Widow goes in the very beginning of the trailer. And if you know anything about me, if it's not ootsy cutesy kawaii type style, I love the Victorian goth type aesthetic of certain things. Next up, part of the trailer was we got to see that she has a sibling, a sister, no doubt. And it's very interesting. Is that her biological sister? Is it not? Is it, her sister in arms? It's just a lot of questions. And also, why in the heck that, if she had a sibling, I'm surprised that her sibling didn't come after her, or because I've heard a lot of spy stories in the past. You have siblings that basically come after you, or miss you, or want to kill you. I don't know. So it's like, it's very interesting that this sibling didn't come back to see her. Taskmaster looks really cool in this trailer. I don't know too much about him. The only time I actually got a chance to see Taskmaster was in Marvel's Capcom, the third installment, which, I didn't care for that game, but he does look good here. So I wonder what he's all about. I know for a fact in the comic books he's a big deal. He's sort of like a mercenary for hire, but of course I have to read more comics. I haven't grown up too much with him, with stories with him in it, so I don't really know as much as some of the other Marvel superheroes, like Black Panther, Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, and stuff like that. I'm so used to them being like in the forefront, and not because of the fact of the Avengers movie. This was something way before I knew the movies, grew up with them, thanks to my father. So Natty's family. Excuse me. So Natty's family. So Black Widow's family. First of all, I didn't even know she had a family. Excuse me. With acting personalities of Rachel Weisz, aka if you guys seen the Mummy movies, Evie. I still remember her from then. Also, she did play in Constantine as well as the wonderful Wizard of Oz. So I know for a fact that she has some serious acting chops. No, no, not her personal family. So her mom, her dad, and her sibling. Yeah, I know that's crazy, right? So it looks like her mother, or could be the mother figure. I'm not entirely sure, but you have Rachel Weisz playing the woman, the head woman figure to Black Widow and her sibling. And then you have David Harbour, who is also Sheriff Hopper in Stranger Things. So knowing him, he has a really nice sense of humor and what have you. He plays the Red Guardian. It seems like he plays more of the father role in that very weird family and all. I'm looking forward to seeing him. It's really funny. Also, I kind of giggled because he's like a heavy, stocky guy. If anything, I don't think he's fat. Yeah, I know they poke fun of him of his weight, but me personally, I feel like he's built similar to Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist. So he has a little bit of a gut, but he does have guns. So, he still has a very decent musculature. He plays the Red Guardian, which is sort of like the Russian equivalent to Captain America. So I've seen him recently in certain comics, the Red Guardian, especially in the recent Avengers, where Blade actually becomes an Avenger and they fight during the Vampire Civil War, which is a very interesting comic. Actually got me into reading more comics as of recently. So yeah. I'm looking forward to the dynamic that they play in between. And it's just I'm really looking forward to this movie, but it's going to be very heartbreaking since Black Widow is a character that I grew up with, not just from the movies, but also from the storylines and comics as well. But this version of Natty, I have a huge attachment since Iron Man 2, and it's just sad to see her go. It's just it's just really sad to see her go. So last but not least, we're going to talk about switch over gears from movies to video games, which is the surprising trailer of Resident Evil 3 Remake. Oh my goodness. I know a lot of people had rumors after Resident Evil 2 because of how beautiful it looked. For me, I'm not a huge horror fan. If you guys know me personally, I'm not a huge horror fan. I am a coward when it comes to that. I have to either have my group of my friends with me, my boyfriend with me, or my piles of Eevee plushies with me, because I can't. I just can't. I can't. And actually, now that I think about it, if I had a bunch of group or army of Eevees, they could potentially be infected by the T-virus and turn into zombies. Oh, no! I don't want any zombie Eevees. Anyway, that's besides the point. But anyway, that's besides the point. A lot of rumors have been flying around about Resident Evil. Yes, I watched Hellsing Ultimate, and yes, I played Skullgirls. But Skullgirls, first of all, Skullgirls is not a horror. Skullgirls is not a horror. Hellsing is action horror. Black Butler, action horror. Diabolical Lovers, romantic horror. I'm sorry. Listen, Resident Evil is just straight up survival horror. There's a difference. Undertale is not a horror. It's an RPG. It's not a horror, especially if you play neutral mode, or if you play pacifist mode. If you play pacifist mode, it's not considered a horror. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to point it out, but those are not horrors. Well, at least not to me. For me, for horror, it has to be straight up horror. It can't have any other conflicting elements. With Skullgirls, you have characters that are likable. You have characters that are relatable. You have tomato. Ugh. You have characters of a cute design. One of my favorite characters is Miss Fortune. So, with Miss Fortune and Mehmet and Fila and all those other characters that are really well designed and really adorable. I know you do it out of love. Because of those characters, I don't consider it horror. Helsing Ultimate, I have my husbando there, so I don't consider it horror. Black Butler, same thing, husbando, no horror there. Diabolical Lovers, vampires, so it's like, yeah. And then also Undertale, you have some monsters that are really adorable. And of course, again, if you do the genocide run, it's considered straight up horror. But if you do pacifist or neutral, it's not necessarily too much of horror. There's a lot of suspense, there's a lot of thrilling things in it, but I wouldn't chalk it up to straight up horror. But for me, the reason why I talk about Resident Evil is because of the fact that, hey, I grew up with it. It's another game that I grew up with. You know, my cousins played it. You know, I watched them and I was scared. And in a way, with the success of Resident Evil 2 remake, it seems to be, you know, with all its great graphics and showing everything in its full-on bloody glory, it was just a matter of time that they were going to do a remake for Resident Evil 3. You know, especially the fact that, you know, it seems like nowadays a lot of remakes have been rehashed a lot, reboots and remakes and stuff like that. So it was only a matter of time before they did a remake of Resident Evil 3. Of course, they didn't show too much. They showed a lot of chaos, a lot of, the damaged buildings, things on fire and stuff like that. Really had stuff like maybe a slight jump scare or two, but they didn't really show too much of too much going on in Resident Evil in the remake, in RE3 remake. But what they did show, and everybody's favorite, Jill Valentine. So you got a chance to see a first look of dear Jill, and I'm excited. She still does wear her traditional blue attire. I'm not sure they go so far with the skirt thing, but definitely she wears like pants and a blue top, which is nice. I'm just curious of all the updates and all the changes that's going to happen in RE3, and like I said, I won't be able to do much of anything. I'm not going to do a playthrough of it because I'll crumble under the pressure. I'll crumble because of the fact of all the monsters that are just, let's face it, I like my sleep, okay? I like my sleep. I'll watch somebody else play it, but I'm not going to play it myself, okay? So I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not going to do it. Based on the cover art, I know for a fact that Nemesis is going to be there, and oh my god, does he look intimidating by the cover art of the trailer. I'm intrigued to see him in all of his gruesome glory, but at the same time, I'm intrigued as well as kind of terrified. So it's like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. So yeah, that's pretty much for RE3 of the trailer. So that's pretty much it for today regarding the trailers. Now, I did promise that everybody who would actually watch this, I will be doing a quick unboxing. Or if you guys want, I can do that in a separate video and show you basically, what's going on, having more of a special attention to that. Because, I know some people might not necessarily be happy that I try to cram in so much stuff, but also at the same time, I don't know, with the holidays coming up and a lot of things going on, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do as many videos as I would like to. But, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically cut it off here, and I'm going to do a separate video of me doing the unboxing. It's fine either way. I think you may remember that you found out about Diabolical Lovers tag since the mutual BBF of our. Oh, come on! It's not. No. I will not accept that. I will not accept that page. But anyway, But I want to say thank you I want to thank you guys so much for basically coming by and enjoying my live stream and watching me talk and geek out about various different things. Hopefully, again, like I said, I'm going to do a separate video right after this one of doing the unboxing. So if you guys want to stay after for that, you can. I hope you really enjoy this, and I hope to see you guys again for art updates. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.